Terrence Bates here with your Real America's Voice news break. Thanks for being here with us. It is 4 days into the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran, and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, along with Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Dan Kane, are laying out the current situation.
Iran cannot outlast us. We're going to ensure through violence of action and our offensive capabilities and our defensive capabilities, as I said, that we set the tone and the tempo of this fight. That's why stories and speculation about different things that try to make it look like we're limited in what we can do. The only limits we have in this is President Trump's desire to achieve specific effects on behalf of the American people. And that's why we don't talk about, you can say 4 weeks, but it could be 6, it could be 8, it could be 3. Ultimately, we set the pace and the tempo. The enemy is off balance, and we're going to keep them off balance. And we know their ability to shoot versus our ability to defend, that difference gets wider and wider every day. Our defense gets better, their offensive capabilities diminish.
Real America's Voice correspondent and host of Breaking Point, David Zier, attended this morning's news conference and joins us live now with some perspective. David, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Terrence. And yes, Pete Hegseth added to that within a week we will probably have complete air superiority and their air defenses will be dismantled, as well as their ballistic missile program.
So really, in short, so far this campaign, the United States has taken out Iran's Navy, its air defenses, and really softened up everything to set the stage for whatever comes next.
Yes, and shipping lanes are opening up again, and their news services swirled with stories all morning about a naval vessel, Iranian, getting sunk in the Indian Ocean by possibly a U.S. submarine. Secwar Hegseth and General Dan Kane from the Joint Chiefs confirmed that we had the first torpedo launch on a foreign vessel from a U.S. submarine in about 80 years, going back to World War II, which maybe it's poetic justice. The name of the ship was the Soleimani, who injured and maimed and killed so many hundreds of troops, U.S. troops in Iraq on the ground. And I also got to ask Pete Hegseth about Hakeem Jeffries' comments that many say were irresponsible about us losing the Iran conflict.
Take us through those comments very quickly, if you don't mind, and the response you got.
Yeah, well, Hakeem Jeffries basically said that we're going to lose this. We're going to lose the Iran war, and Trump would disagree with that. And Secretary Hegseth, said that he's been through this before. He's been through this circus before. That Jeffries has been briefed on all of this, and he's being disingenuous with the American people to score political points. I guess hedging the bet, right? But while U.S. men are in combat, probably not the right thing to do. And I asked him, does it interfere with the motivation of our troops? And what do the enemies think about this? And he just said that what Jeffries did was wrong.
Okay. Let's move on to Ecuador, because that's also a developing situation. It was not addressed during the news conference, but U.S. Special Forces are now working with Ecuadorian military officials in the fight against drugs and to, on land at least, deal with some of the narco-terrorism. What's the reaction from the Pentagon? What are you hearing from your sources?
Well, U.S. Southern Command met, I believe, on Monday in Quito, Ecuador, with President Daniel Noboa, and who's a U.S. ally, and other senior officials in Ecuador. In Ecuador in 2024, 290 tons of drugs were seized, 30% higher than the year before. Violence is through the roof, with about 7,000 violent deaths in 2024, a homicide rate of almost 40 per 100,000, quintupling in over 5 years. And the surge in trafficking has coincided with this deterioration of the country's security, and no specific details were issued on the military activity. But tomorrow, we just got word from the Department of War in a press release that Hegseth will be at Southcom headquarters down in Doral on this expansion of U.S. strikes against boats in the region. And Trump will target suspects of, transporting drugs. And it's just an incredible operation. But remember, the Ecuadorian president is an ally of the United States.
Absolutely. David Zier reporting for us from Washington, D.C. this morning. Always good to see you, sir.
left knows exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history. To the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
All right, let's kick off a big Thursday here. Get rolling into it as we move into the weekend. It's coming. As we roll through Iran and everything else, let's get going. It's fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom every single day. Three big things this hour. Number one, the federal government dumped almost 400,000 jobs in the first year of the Trump administration, saving the taxpayers billions of dollars. Number two, the United States is turning up the heat on Venezuela and its interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, who could still herself face indictment. The only way around it, complete cooperation. And number three, time for some introspection here on the program today. You see, I'm old enough to remember when Democrats, the majority of Democrats, were still Americans. When they took pride in the country that they represented, when they understood what makes us different and what makes us great. When they at least pretended to agree, or at a minimum tolerate, the beliefs and ideas that our founding fathers held and built this great republic on. Those days are long dead and long gone. James Tallarico has been representing part of Austin, Texas, the state House of Representatives since 2018. And on Tuesday, he won the Democratic Senate primary over Representative Jasmine Crockett. Now, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican either. But I wouldn't vote for a Democrat at this point. How could you? But these are the kinds of ideas that convince Democrats to vote for Tallarico, who professes to be a Christian believer. In fact, he's actually training to be an ordained minister at a Presbyterian seminary. And yet, this is what he has to say from the pulpit.
In committee, I listened to 15 hours of testimony on this bill. The worst part for me was the number of Christians who used Scripture to justify hurting children. Even on this floor today, a member tried to justify a hateful amendment in the name of God's law. So let's talk about that. The first two lines of the Bible, the first two lines in Genesis, use two different Hebrew words to describe God. One is the masculine Hebrew noun for divinity. The second is the feminine Hebrew noun for spirit. God is both masculine and feminine and everything in between. God is non-binary.
You've got to be kidding me. This guy is willing to subvert thousands of years of biblical teaching for viral clips that get him elected by a very liberal voting base. He's attempting to pass a bill that encourages minors to change their gender. You heard me right. To engage in self-mutilation by calling God non-binary. God is divine. He is not a biological being, so he doesn't possess a biological sex per se, but in no way does that equate to the modern-day mental illness of non-binary identification. Scripture reveals God through the use of overwhelming masculine language, titles, pronouns, and self-identification. God the Father, who came to this world through his incarnation of his Son, a biological male, Jesus. There's never been any confusion on this subject, never, until nitwits like James Tallarico decided to start using it for their political advantage. Here's more from that same speech.
Trans children are God's children, made in God's own image. There's nothing wrong with them. Nothing at all. They are perfect, they are beautiful, and they are sacred. Bullying children is immoral. It's a sin, a special kind of sin.
Does he hear himself? He's right. Children are made in God's image, period, full stop. There's nothing wrong with the gender that they're born. There's no other classification. Children are not born trans, and they should never be encouraged as children to pursue that diabolical path. There should be no such thing as trans children. Using that terminology is simply evil. Here's another one of James Tallarico's great ideas. Listen to this.
Southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front.
Really? Mass illegal immigration should be a giant welcome mat out front. No thanks. This analogy also fails to include the fact that Democrat leadership has issued a call worldwide that the door is wide open to anybody that wants to come into our country illegally. I don't have millions of people trying to get into my front door, but our southern border did, thanks to his party in Texas, where he's from. This will not sell. James Tallarico's rise to power shows that the only Christian that the Democrats are willing to accept is a fake one that twists and subverts biblical teaching to put a stamp of approval on a whole host of policies that go counter to everything the Bible teaches. Tim Walz, another Democrat who claims to be a Christian, but who used his position to advance the woke agenda at the cost of his constituents in Minnesota. He's overseen billions in fraud that he let happen simply because he wanted to keep the vote of the Somalians of his state in his column, many who came here illegally in the first place as well. And he sat on Capitol Hill yesterday pretending like he knows nothing about it. Here's just some of the scale of fraud he's allowed in his state. Listen to this list.
How much money was spent on 2017 for autism in Minnesota? How much?
I don't know. I wasn't the governor.
Okay. Did you not just say that you prepared for this hearing today? $1 million, okay? A quick Google search or using your AI could tell you $1 million was spent. How much money was spent on autism in Minnesota in 2024?
I don't have the number in front of me. As
Were you governor in 2024?
I was, but I'm not the head
so
of
your excuse before that you didn't know what 2017 autism numbers were because you were not governor, and today you can't answer the numbers about 2024 as governor, and you still said you prepared for this hearing today. It's unbelievable. $343 million was spent in 2024. What percent increase is that from $1 million to $343 million? What percentage increase is that?
I'm not here to be your prop. Go ahead and tell me.
Yeah, okay. He's clearly out of his depth. Do the math. 343 times more. From 1 million to 343 million in just 7 years. That's the level of the fraud in Minnesota. And as astounding as that is, it's not just dollars flying out the window in his administration. It's real Minnesotan lives that have been lost as a result of his policies. Policies that have given out free education, free health care, driver's licenses to illegal aliens who don't speak English, can't read road signs, and sure as hell shouldn't be driving on the road on 18-wheelers. Here's more from the hearing.
Let me make the connection for you. According to the Secretary of Transportation, 1/3 of Minnesota's non-domiciled commercial driver's licenses were issued illegally. Do you have a video ready to play for me? Can you play it now? This is what happens, Mr. Governor. This is what happens when you issue driver's licenses to people
Hold on
illegally.
right there.
He is on the northbound lanes.
Hold on right there. We'll pick it up right there when we come back. No idea how much money his state spends on autism. His state gives the illegals CDLs to drive down the road, your roads and mine. These are the new Democrats. Frightening, isn't it? I'll be right back.
The radical left knows exactly what they're doing. They want to steal the election. We're We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to the Capitol. They need to take back our country.
Events in Washington have taken a violent and tumultuous turn.
January 6th wasn't just a moment in history. For thousands of Americans, it was the moment their voices were taken.
It's insurrection.
They were persecuted, hunted.
Seditious conspiracy.
But behind prison walls, something unexpected happened. They found their voice again.
Started singing the national anthem.
We took it up to him at Mar-a-Lago. He goes, I'll put my voice on it.
Our supporters made this go platinum.
Real America's Voice is telling the real story of January 6th like you've never seen it before.
Everybody, this must be peaceful.
This is not the story you were shown.
I take responsibility.
This is the story they live.
Government entrapment scheme that this actually was.
The J6 Patriots are no longer staying silent. They are speaking, they are standing, and they are telling the truth.
You can't kill us. You can't beat us.
Scan the QR code or visit RealAmericasVoice.com. Real America's Voice presents The Sleeping Giant. Available now.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shop. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Every dollar you give is being matched up to $50,000. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
Flash a source in the chat. I love Real America's Voice because I can watch news being delivered to me live while I chat with the family I love.
Hey guys, my name is Jeff. I'm from Massachusetts. I love RAV because of the free speech and the political wranglings that go on in the chat every day.
All right, let's pick up right where we were. Pick it back up there, Anthony, right where that was. Roll that again.
Let me make the connection for you. Legally. We're issued illegally. Do you have a video ready to play for me? Can you play it now? This is what happens, Mr. Governor. This is what happens when you issue driver's licenses to people illegally.
He is on the northbound lanes of 61, going the wrong way. You can see I'm going southbound on 61. He's in the northbound lanes on Highway 61.
I'm crossing over there, and thank God, I don't know how much that thing weighs, 60, 80,000 pounds, 60 miles an hour.
18-wheeler.
You can cut the video. He was licensed in your state under a law that you signed that precludes federal officials, your federal partners, as you call them, from determining whether they're here illegally. That guy that was driving that truck couldn't pass the test. He didn't pass the test out on the road. There's another video, I'm not going to play it, but there's another video of a guy here illegally turning a truck like that around in the middle of a highway where people lost their lives because they were decapitated when they went underneath it. That's what happened. So
that's exactly what happens. This is the new Democrat Party, the one that says illegal aliens deserve commercial driver's licenses more than Minnesota residents deserve the right to a safe drive home. It's not American, it's insanity. Like I said, I remember when Democrats still acted like Americans, most of them. You don't have to like the war going on in the Middle East. I understand that. If you've got your reasons, that's fine. I appreciate that. But if you're an elected politician representing this country, you don't denigrate the commander-in-chief in the middle of the effort. Hakeem Jeffries has been making a clown out of himself on this issue in front of the cameras for the last week now. Here's a clear example.
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. Back in 2011, Nancy Pelosi said that then President Obama didn't need congressional approval to bomb Libya. Now House Democrats say President Trump needs that approval to bomb Iran. What's the difference?
Well, obviously, Libya and the circumstances connected to that were very different than the circumstance that we face in Iran right now. I mean, I don't even understand the genesis or basis of that question, not suggesting that you're not asking it in good faith.
Libya went on for 7 months.
As I've indicated, first of all, it was not in Congress at the time. So we're dealing with what we're dealing with right now, which is a catastrophic, endless war, as Donald Trump has characterized it, without any justification that there was going to be a preeminent assault or attack on the United States of America, either in our homeland or as it relates to our interests in the Middle East.
Yeah, Libya wasn't preparing to attack either. The Democrat Party is all about tanking what America does, no matter what it is, because they don't like Donald Trump. Iran is currently hitting some of our military bases, our consulate, our embassies, and has done so for the last nearly 50 years. But you're going to go on national TV and tell the world that you don't support the commander-in-chief for doing something about it. It's weakness. It's intentionally creating conflict here at home. He says Libya and Iran are two different situations. Okay, fine. Here's the Democrat Party less than 2 decades ago on the very same situation. Listen in.
I want the Iranians to know that if I'm the president, we will attack Iran. Whatever stage of development they might be in their nuclear weapons program in the next 10 years, during which they might foolishly consider launching an attack on Israel, we would be able to totally obliterate them. That's a terrible thing to say. But those people who run Iran need to understand that, because that perhaps will deter them from doing something that would be reckless, foolish, and tragic.
I don't know what happened to these people. Somewhere along the way, they decided to sell out for an agenda that completely undermines everything that makes this country. Everything. Democrats transform from patriots into radicals who mock God, sacrifice children on the altar of ideology, welcome invaders, and stab our nation in the back during wartime. It's not America. I'm going to keep exposing these hypocrites until they return to the principles that made us the greatest country. More likely, however, that won't happen until pigs fly. All right, so there you go. On a related note, by the way, I mentioned this off the top. I want to get it in. The United States is turning up the heat on Venezuela with a threat to indict the new interim president, Delcy Rodriguez. Remember just 8 weeks ago, or is it 9 now, the Democrats were screaming about the removal of the dictator Maduro, who was operating a huge drug operation for Venezuela. It was a centralized crime syndicate in Venezuela. He had turned the place from one of the wealthiest countries in the world into a fiefdom for himself. He did. Controlled the oil, killed the people. It was a horrible thing. The Democrats screamed against that. How is Venezuela doing today? Well, better, to say the least. And if Delcy Rodriguez doesn't play ball, she too could find herself on trial in the United States. That's the monologue for today. Did you know that American homeowners nationwide have over $32 trillion in equity, and cyber criminals are targeting it every single day with a scam the FBI calls house stealing? House alarms, doorbell cameras, deadbolts, they don't work against these thieves because they're not after your stuff, they're after your equity. If your title isn't being monitored, scammers can transfer the title out of your home with some documents they filed at the county and then take out loans against it, or even sell it behind your back. We've told the stories here. The scariest part, you don't find out until collection or even foreclosure notices start arriving in your mailbox. But by then, well, the damage has been done. The best way to protect your equity is with triple lock protection from my friends at Home Title Lock. Triple lock protection, 24/7 monitoring, alerts of any changes, and God forbid, if the worst happens, restoration services, No out-of-pocket cost to you. You can check on your home's title today and make sure you're not already a victim. Use the promo code Gruber at HometitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes. If fraud should happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Again, go to HometitleLock.com right now. Use the promo code Gruber. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code Gruber. You'll sleep better tonight. I'll be back after this.
Yeah. They feed you headlines, cut the frame, say it loud enough, call it fact. Change the words, dodge the blame, sell the lie, then double back.
From Real America's Music, the label that brought you Anthem of the Free, The Boss, and Somali Waltz, comes a brand new anthem built for a distrustful age. Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers. Talks about distrust of institutions, media manipulation, shifting government narratives, big tech censorship, cancel culture, and ideological silencing. The culture needs a truth bomb, and this track delivers. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers on iTunes. We've broken records before. Let's do it again together.
Well, we lost, and look, I don't take any pleasure in people losing their jobs. I don't, but this is the number, 386,826. 386,826 workers that are no longer in the federal government after Donald Trump's first year in office. Almost 400,000 jobs have been culled from the workforce in an effort to pare down the government, right-size the government, try to get rid of some of this bloat and waste. The Office of Personnel Management, the U.S. government's HR office, published the information. The downsizing, of course, part of Donald Trump's efforts to make the government more efficient for you, the taxpayer. And like I said, I don't take pleasure in somebody losing their job. However, in order to save this republic, we can't just have endless amounts of government workers. The bureaucracy, the bloat, the expense. We can't have it. But I'll tell you what we should do. We should pay for TSA to operate. We should. We should fund TSA. We should fund the Coast Guard. This partial government shutdown is at a ridiculous time, and there's no value to it. ICE is funded through 2029, and you know what? The Democrats know that. They do. Anyhow, don't expect them to change anytime soon. They're standing on principle, they claim. Really, they're standing on us. A new year doesn't mean extreme diets or complicated routines. It needs consistency. Sure does. Longevity Wellness, this is a great product. Helps you build that habit with one clean, all-in-one nutritional shake that supports strength, focus, digestion, and immune health. It is smart nutrition you can actually stick with. Start strong today. Visit longevitywellness.co and use the promo code Gruber for a special listener discount. That's Gruber at longevitywellness.co. Yeah, we use this product here. If you're in sports, great product. Keeps you going. It really fires you up. If you're older and you want to make sure you get the right nutrition, great product. If you just don't want to lose bone and muscle because you're on some sort of a diet plan, again, great product. longevitywellness.co. It's a great company. It is a great formulation made with real products. All right? I'll take a break and be right back. The ongoing battle against human trafficking in this country. We're going to talk about it after the break.
Yeah. They feed you headlines, cut the frame, say it loud enough, call it fact. Change the words, dodge the blame, sell the lie, then double back.
From Real America's Music, the label that brought you Anthem of the Free, The Boss, and Somali Waltz, comes a brand new anthem built for a distrustful age. Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers. talks about distrust of institutions, media manipulation, shifting government narratives, big tech censorship, cancel culture, and ideological silencing. The culture needs a truth bomb, and this track delivers. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers on iTunes. We've broken records before. Let's do it again together.
Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of a Real Voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.
This is Rashad from Boston, Massachusetts, and I love Real America's Voice. It is the best place for real news and content. Much love.
When the bacon wants real facts and figures, he goes to Rav. Real America's Voice, baby. That's where you get the real scoop and not the poop.
From Muskegon, Michigan. Why do you love Rav?
Because we've become family. All those Rav live chatters and me.
In case you missed it this week, Tim Tebow, Ivy played it yesterday. Tim Tebow was in front of Congress testifying about the exploitation of children. Tim Tebow, a former football star, Heisman Trophy winner, all of that stuff, right? But he said God didn't give him strength to carry a football game, strength to protect children. And he put up a map at almost 400,000 dots. And he said every one of those dots represents a unique IP address, a unique computer that's currently watching the exploitation of children, some of the graphic pornography. 60% of the images involve children under 12. Just think about the evil nature of that. Mary Flynn O'Neill is the executive director of America's Future. She joins me now. Very nice to have you on the program.
Thank you, Steve. How are you today? This is a beautiful morning.
It is a
We're
beautiful
starting
morning.
Today, right?
But we've got to fight, because right now there are children at this moment that are being exploited for all sorts of reasons that turned my stomach, to be honest.
Right.
I'm sure you saw the Tim Tebow testimony with those dots on the map and all that exploitation going on. And after Jeffrey Epstein, we should be very aware of this. We should know that children are being exploited in this country. Rip back the curtain, prosecute people, put them in handcuffs. I mean, transparency is all fine and well, Mary, but without consequences, it's meaningless. Your thoughts?
It goes way back, Steve. It goes way back. It goes back to the Boy Scouts. It goes back to University of Pennsylvania. I mean, there's been many, many pedophiles that have been caught hurting the priests in the Catholic Church. Come on, these people never were held accountable, really, to the degree of change to make this never happen again. It should never have happened back in those times either. So we have this escalation of this real bad evil that has really perpetrated the world, and it's a big big moneymaker. It's a $350 billion industry in this country. We are the biggest buyers and sellers of children in this country. That's the black spot USA has on it, and it really needs to be addressed. We have solutions, and we have to understand that I'm at a point right now. I've been going around the country with my brother, General Flynn, with a team of very, very big experts, training people in communities, local action, about these evils and what to do, how to defend and protect our children, okay? Because we got to have solutions now, and we got to have action. No more talk about, we know how evil it is. It's the highest level of evil you've ever seen in your life right now. When you see the statistics in that map that Thibault showed, we've been showing people that for maybe 5 years, those dots. Data has been available. Nobody has been doing anything. And in 2021, ORR, okay, they opened up a can of worms. They stopped DNA. They stopped vetting sponsors. They said speed over safety because they were so overwhelmed with children coming across that border.
That was the excuse, Mary. Yeah, that was the excuse. Right. There is a move right now to hire 200 more internet specialists, if you will, detectives that'll get online and identify these 386,000 red dots. Every one of these people, I want to go back to Chris Hansen, to catch a predator. I want that on a mass scale. I want cameras rolling. I want these people's faces exposed. I want them dragged out in handcuffs. Barry, I must have been naive my whole life. I didn't even know this existed, right? I've never seen this. It's not part of my personal experience. I don't know anything about this. And yet, apparently, as you pointed out, America, the #1 place for this kind of exploitation in the world, $350 billion estimated.
That's right.
What the hell's wrong with us?
I know. I'm telling you. Well, it's a whole agenda. Decades ago started, with taking God out of this country, secularism. It's just a whole series of agenda that this kind of group of people, this evil, this kind of secular kind of thing that wanted to, it goes way back. It goes back to the feminist movement. I can go on and on and on about this, how we got here. But it's like this country, you're a good man. Men are important in the family. Children need their fathers. Children need good men around them. They don't need to be feeling unsafe. And, young women, young girls, and young boys, they've just, we cannot look at children like they are money or they are a sexual,
they're a commodity, Mary. That's how they are a commodity.
That's right.
That's what they are. They're bought and sold. Right, they're traded around. They're passed around. It's a horrible thing. And I don't know what is wrong with somebody that they are so dark, so evil, that they would abuse you. Because some of these children, as Tim Thibault pointed out, they're not just under 12. They're infants. For the love of God.
Oh, no, we're going real. Oh, no. Listen, this 2 years ago, I have people on the ground all over the place in other countries. Listen, they've seen, I knew this stuff. It's deep and dark. And we're at Revelation 17. Go back to the Bible, read the 17. You will see the highest level of evil right now. But we are also at a high level of spiritual health, too. We've got a lot of, change going on in the world. See it around the country, around the world, all the, the uprising of Christians, of course, the killing of Christians. But it's really important that this country starts to rise back up, get back to its traditions, get back to its, principles of our founding fathers, get back to this nation under God, right? And we get back to, it really is. It's very important. And the family. A man is a man and a woman is a woman, and they have children and they have families. We have to embrace these things now. And we can't look at children like they're, just slaves. So 50 million people, listen, Steve, 50 million people around the world are in slavery.
More than at any time in human history, right now. And people are like, that's not, It is true. African nations, nations in the Middle East. And they might try to call it something different or dress it up, but it's just the way it is. Here's what I've got a couple of minutes left here, Mary. I want to ask you this. I want people listening to hear this. How do I see it? How do I identify it? How do I become part of the solution? Look, again, I have no idea where this operates in the dark reaches of the dark web or in the back alleys of my small town or your big city or wherever people might be. How do I identify? How do I get involved and become part of the solution?
Well, anybody that has children needs to be trained. They really do. There's, I go around talking about AI. AI in the wrong hands is very dangerous. First of all, you've got to get kids off the internet. 75 predators are right there in their bedroom when they're playing games. Okay, so parents need to get educated, and they need to take those phones and those games and those computers, they need to take them down. So Tebow talks about the pornography and the dark web. Why hasn't the dark web been addressed? Why? Because
well, I believe, and in fairness, Mary, I believe that's what the Trump administration is doing, to hire these 200 or 300 new agents to search it out. And it has to happen. So here's the thing. I need to have you back. We're going to keep pounding this message, because this message has to be heard. America, you should be ashamed of yourself for this. I love America, greatest nation in the history of nations. This is a stain. This is a black eye. We need to clean this stuff up and put people in prison for it. AmericasFuture.net. You can find out more. AmericasFuture.net. Mary Flynn O'Neill, keep fighting, please.
I will. Thank you. Thanks, Steve. You too.
Thank you so much for being here. It's unbelievable, isn't it? 386,000 dots on that map. We have got to do better. We've got to. We're going to talk about the economy, oil prices, and everything else right after the break related to Iran. What does it mean to you personally after this?
Yeah. They feed you headlines, cut the frame, say it loud enough, call it fact. Change the words, dodge the blame, sell the lie, then double back.
From Real America's Music, the label that brought you Anthem of the Free, The Boss, and Somali Waltz, comes a brand new anthem built for a distrustful age. Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers.
Truth bomb.
Talks about distrust of institutions, media manipulation, shifting government narratives, big tech censorship, cancel culture, and ideological silencing. The culture needs a truth bomb, and this track delivers. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers on iTunes. We've broken records before. Let's do it again together.
Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of a real voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.
This is Rashad from Boston, Massachusetts, and I love Real America's Voice. It is the best place for real news and content. Much love.
When the bacon wants real facts and figures, he goes to Rab. Real America's Voice, baby. That's where you get the real scoop and not the poop.
From Muskegon, Michigan. Why do you love Rav?
Because we've become family. All those Rav live chatters and me.
All right, there's no question that uncertainty is not good for markets. We know that. The war in Iran, the market shedded, 1,200 points here a couple of days ago. Then it came back and it only lost 400 for the day. Oil prices, oil's up about $10 a barrel. I thought it was going to go higher. Sitting at about 76 for West Texas Intermediate today. How does this all impact you? No lazy money with Nick Hopwood, founder and president of Peak Wealth Management. Nick, back with me. Nick, how are you?
Good morning, Steve. How are you?
I'm good. So the market has some volatility. Oil prices went up. That was to be expected. I did think it was going to go a lot higher. I thought we'd see $80 or $90 oil. Right now it's at 76. The impact of the war from where you sit on investments.
Yeah, Steve. Now, as of today, we probably have more questions than answers. But as you mentioned, higher oil prices, potentially higher gold, flight to safety, purchasing bonds, maybe flight to quality in stocks like consumer staples. But after about 3 or 4 days now here, the S&P is only down 1.7% since the all-time high.
Right.
So it's not too bad so far.
Yeah. Gas is up about 30 cents a gallon according to AAA over the last week. That's to be expected. Hopefully it's temporary because, as you know, energy touches everything, right?
Yeah, and I would expect it to be temporary, and it would not compare to the 70s because the U.S. is a net exporter of oil. So ultimately, it's completely different than the last shock. But if you look at this chart here, Steve, I know it's hard to see because there's so many different geopolitical events going back to 1940. But if we look out 1 month later after all of these different events, 40 different events listed here, the return for the market is minus 1% on average 1 month after the event. So that tracks with what we're seeing right now. And we just want to keep that in perspective when we're thinking about what we're doing with our portfolio.
Right. So the war doesn't impact good companies that have good products and good returns and good investments. I mean, they're still good companies, right?
That's right. But good companies' stocks can still go down in any time period. So keep that in mind.
All right. But the Dow's been up. As you mentioned here, Dow's been up 10 months in a row. After a big event like this, a shock to the system, after a month, it's only losing about 1% total. That's a lot better than I expected, Nick. I consider that to be good news.
I do. And so think about this. This has only happened 5 times since 1900 before today, where we had 10 months in a row where it was up. Since 1960, it only happened one other time, which was in 2018. So this is very rare. And interestingly, the average return for the Dow looking forward after a 10-month streak is plus 12%, which is better than average. So, maybe this is the month that breaks the streak, but still that plus 12% looking forward still holds.
All right, so that's looking at the historical fact. This is how it works. This is how it will continue to work. So don't panic, is what Nick is saying. I mean, look, you can be concerned. You can move some things around. Maybe, look, Buffett said, when there's blood in the streets, buy. Maybe we should have been buying when it was down 1,200 points. I don't know. But I want to talk about some good news here today, Nick, because I was in the room with Michael Dell and the president the day that he announced the Trump accounts, right? I was standing there with him, talked to him a little bit, asked a couple of questions. The Trump accounts, I actually hear people that say, well, I don't like Donald Trump. I'm not going to take that free money. I'm like, what? You're not going to take the money because you don't like Donald Trump. Look, here is an ability for young people to get an investment from the day they're born, right? And you can invest up to $5,000 a year. Aunts, uncles, wherever the money comes from, you can put in $5,000 a year. This is a big opportunity, isn't it?
Steve, it's beyond big. It's huge. And now everyone's focused on the $250 from Dell and the $1,000 from the feds for the babies. But I want you to think bigger. Think about 18 years for a new baby born right now. Parents, grandparents, other family members depositing $5,000 per year. After 18 years, that's $90,000. If it's growing at 8%, which is not unreasonable, it would be worth $202,000 at age 18. Now think about this. It goes from the Trump account to an IRA, and the 18-year-old is not in a high tax bracket. They convert that 202 to Roth. They probably pay around $16,000 out of pocket. Now that $202,000 continues growing from age 18 to age 65, and you won't believe how much it can be worth. Over $7 million with no further contributions.
Isn't that remarkable? I've always, Somebody, if I could go back and people say, what would you say to your 18-year-old self? Invest more money. It would be my advice to my 18-year-old self. Invest more money, because if you invest when you're young, or if you invest from the day you're born, like these are allowed. I mean, my God, $7 million when you retire, right? That's remarkable.
My call to action for all family members, for all parents, $500 per month into the 529 for college, and $5,000 per year to the Trump accounts for their retirement.
Yeah. By the way, after our shifting gears again, after our last conversation, you're talking about these people getting shock tax bills, saying, wait a second, I didn't want that money. I didn't take that money, right? Explain that real quick, because I called immediately to a couple of people that have a bit of my money, and I said, do you do this? And they both said no. They were lucky because they were about to get fired, Nick. Anyhow, real quick, we got about 45 seconds. Explain again.
Yeah, so this is what we talked about last time. If you have a brokerage account with mutual funds held in that account, and by no fault of your own, the mutual funds declare capital gains distributions, usually at the end of the year in December. Steve, even if you didn't take the money out, these distributions are taxable. And the story was, we had a new client who just came on board. The mutual funds that he held declared $180,000 of long-term capital gains. And because he's paying 20% on long-term capital gains, plus Medicare tax, plus state of Michigan tax, he was at 28%, which is over $50,000 of tax by no fault of his own.
Yeah. Look, are you in that situation? Maybe you know, maybe you don't know. peakwm.com/Gruber. You can get some advice today. You can get a free Social Security evaluation from Nick as well. Nick, I really appreciate you sharing this with the folks. There's a QR code on your screen there as well, folks. If you just want to talk to Nick about what you're doing, about how you get invested and protect yourself from getting pinched like that on taxes, use the QR code there or go to peakwm.com/Gruber. Nick, you're a good man. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. You're a good man as well.
Thank you very much. Get a second opinion, seriously. Don't get pinched. Make sure you see it coming. I'll be right back.
Yeah. They feed you headlines, cut the frame, say it loud enough, call it fact. Change the words, dodge the blame, sell the lie, then double back.
From Real America's Music, the label that brought you Anthem of the Free, The Boss, and Somali Waltz, comes a brand new anthem built for a distrustful age. Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers. Talks about distrust of institutions, media manipulation, shifting government narratives, big tech censorship, cancel culture, and ideological silencing. The culture needs a truth bomb, and this track delivers. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers on iTunes. We've broken records before. Let's do it again together.
Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of a real voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.
This is Rashad from Boston, Massachusetts, and I love Real America's Voice. It is the best place for real news and content. Much love.
When the bacon wants real facts and figures, he goes to Rab. Real America's Voice, baby. That's where you get the real scoop and not the poop.
All right, President Trump has asked that when he makes an endorsement in the Republican Senate primary runoff that's coming up between sitting Senator John Cornyn and Attorney General Ken Paxton, he's asking in advance, he's not given the endorsement, he's asking in advance that whoever he doesn't endorse to step out of the race. We'll see if that happens or not. Look, all the polling told us that Ken Paxton was going to run away with the Republican primary. But in fact, John Cornyn came out 2 or 3 points ahead when the dust settled in Texas. It still means a runoff because neither candidate got to 50%. But it means all the polls were wrong. Yeah, Cornyn got about 42% and Paxton got about 40% of the vote. Wesley Hunt, the congressman, got the remainder. He's a good man. He never really stood a chance in that race, however it seems. Meanwhile, Nancy Guthrie, still gone. I mean, that was the big headline for a considerable period of time. She's gone. Nobody knows where. It's a strange case. Regardless how you feel about any of it, it's a strange case, isn't it? To me, it's really unsettling that something like that can happen. But she has not been found. The investigation, I would say it's fair to say it's stalled. It is stalled, all right? How's the weather in your neck of the woods? Here it's been a bit schizophrenic. 20 degrees, 50 degrees. 19 degrees, 45 degrees. Anyhow, the best way to combat that is to be like Anthony. That's right, to be like Anthony. Own a muskox flannel. He wears it every day.
4 of them like Anthony.
Yeah, 4 of them like Anthony. They're the best. Muskox, it's an American company. Best flannel shirts you're ever going to own, bar none. There's a QR code on your screen. Check it out. This company's from Detroit, and they make the best flannel shirt I've ever owned. It's been named the #1 flannel shirt by Gear Junkie magazine for 4 or 5 years now. The Gruber team wears them every day. You should have one too. Go muskox.com. Promo code Gruber. You'll save $15. It is an investment. It is an investment, but it's one you're going to love. And you can send me an email at stevegruber.com afterwards. Go muskox.com. Support the home team. I'll take a break and be back. This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Yeah. They feed you headlines, cut the frame, say it loud enough, call it fact. Change the words, dodge the blame, sell the lie, then double back.
From Real America's Music, the label that brought you Anthem of the Free, The Boss, and Somali Waltz, comes a brand new anthem built for a distrustful age. Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers. Talks about distrust of institutions, media manipulation, shifting government narratives, big tech censorship, cancel culture, and ideological silencing. The culture needs a truth bomb, and this track delivers. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search Truth Bomb by the Truth Bombers on iTunes. We've broken records before. Let's do it again together.
Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice.